And as I'm speaking, there is something I'm also doing, which is probably not so visible here. And that is I'm paying attention to different parts of my body as I'm speaking, which then lets me know there is a stress and strain from different parts. For example, I'm talking to a screen, and the screen has an effect on my body. So I'm kind of decompressing different parts of my body, which is affected by the radiation from the screen or from it's nighttime. So the sunset has its own influence on, say, people around me, depending on what they've eaten or how much they've slept or not slept, how much of water they've drunk or not. That has an effect on my body. So there's a certain pressure from one side, and then there's a tension from another, and then, so top to bottom, and then I'm sitting. So there could be a certain pressure from how my muscles are experiencing from the bottom, from the sides. So as I'm speaking, I'm decompressing different parts of my body. For example, I'm decompressing here. Yeah, there tends to be this effect here. I think technology also tends to lock in some sort of thing. So I'm also decompressing here, different ways, because that affects my ability to think and think well. The prefrontal cortex, for example, there also is an effect on my heart, cardiac muscle complex. So there's that, yeah. And if there's a pressure here, how am I able to speak? Did you notice my voice kind of went a little cracked? That because there's an effect on my vocal cords. So we're like stringed instruments, but we are also like space instruments, like a drum, for example. Yeah, you beat on something, and from the space comes a sound. Wind instruments. Wind instruments is more where when I'm speaking, there's wind moving, yeah, breath moving through the different chords and then there is a sound that's coming. So that way, there's the wind instrument. But when I do that, it's from the pressure on my muscles that then has an effect on the space of the lungs where the breathing happens. And that space instrument affects my wind instrument, affects my stringed instruments, for example, vocal cords. So it's not just the breath. It could just be the health of the strings, the muscles, it's not necessarily fascia. It's also, let me put this simply. If we consider that a body is made up of several elements, earth, water, fire, air, spirit, space. And these elements, over time, form the different bodily tissue composition we have, including the muscles, the bones, the blood, the fascia, the lymph nodes, hair, skin. Yeah, 12 organ systems have been identified by the School of Homeopathy, a School of Health. Now the school is called the School of Health. So I'm going with that because it's conveniently 12. We have 12 months in a year, 12 hours make half a day. Yeah, so it conveniently just sits there. And if we consider that all of these 6 elements needs to be regularly taken care of, then space is also needing to be taken care of because when we say space instruments, like a drum, a body is like several instruments, and the sounds we make is like an orchestra from the health of the different elements, which is also making up the muscles and the space in which the lungs are, or the abdomen, which is then in different stages of digesting the last meal you had. Yeah. So if we consider that health of one person versus another person is also the difference between the health of the 6 elements, at least: earth, water, fire, air, spirit, space. And consider that there is some more, for example, the flora, fauna. You could say gut flora, fauna. But there's also this idea of, oh, I'm a lion today, yeah? or I feel like a rat. Yeah. Or I feel like, oh, the tree of life. Yeah, just there. So we are also talking about plant ways of thinkings. It's not just plant spirit, but this is a plant way of thinking, animal way of thinking, microbial way of thinking, and then human way of thinking. So I'm talking in terms of what I call as a ray of creation. So there is earth, water, fire, air, spirit, space, plant, okay, microbes, plants, animals, human. So 10 aspects. Okay. And we need to take care of our identification with these 10 also. What does being human mean to me? I may be regarding myself as a woman or a man, yeah, or a child or an adult, senior. Do I regard myself as a human? And what kind of a human do I regard myself to be? Do I regard myself to be as an animal? And what kind of an animal do I feel like today, okay, in the morning, the afternoon, yeah, the evening, or a month before versus now, yeah? So, and how does that affect your emotional state, your hormonal state, your interaction with other people? 10, yeah? And how healthy are they? How healthy is the human you regard yourself to be? How healthy is the animal you regard yourself to be today? Or the plant, or the tree, or the microbe, yeah? Are you infectious, invading into other spaces? In which case, what do you not have? Because of which you have to invade others and you can't take care of yourself. And then, so your ability, disability, dependence, your emotional state, difficult, distress, what you can do, can't do. So let's also call it as nothing and everything. So success is also determined by what you do when you have nothing and what you do when you have everything. Determines the quality, the character, the continuation of what you could have, yeah, based on also what are you doing, what are you working on today.